Who set the clock? She set the clock. You're still on, you're on Eastern time.
1900 is 7 o'clock. I have 24 years, moved to VA, or 30 some odd years, VA, and I felt the military that long. That one? I'm looking at that.
That might be the ones to talk.
And hold it. That's just it.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And if you stand, join me in the pledge to the flag. All right, public forum regarding agenda items only. I've got two add-ons. Resolution for seeker for a new truck and resolution for issuance of a serial bond for the new truck. Highway report. Dale.
Good evening. The dog days of summer are upon us, which is more desirable than a snowstorm. We have been out cleaning up cemetery trash cans, digging graves, pouring gravestone foundations, and had a few burials. Roadside mowing continues. Water flushing and PPM checks are performed. Cleaned up excavation sites at Creek Road and East Shelby Martin Road. Then Orleans Soil and Water hydro-seeded all the sites. Thank you, Katie and staff. It was a good job. Assisted Clarendon, Berry, and Ridgeway through shared services. Some machinery maintenance performed. Have been out with the Berry hot box filling potholes. Hopefully next week Shelby will be able to start grader paving. Mowed parks and fire halls. And today there was a surprise. Sue Coat had time to come up and seal Martin Road for us. Thank you to Carlton, Ridgeway, Kendall for your assistance. They all took the bull by the horns and got it done for us as we were assisting other towns. Thank you so much. We accomplished quite a few tasks despite the long holiday week off. Thank you, staff. And let's not forget the never-ending stacking of e-waste. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Tricia, assessor's report. Glad you can make it.
Just going to do a little recap on the reassessment project for 2023. The town of Shelby has 2,314 active parcels. Between informal meetings and the Board of Assessment review meetings, there were 252 parcels reviewed. This number represents 10.9% of the total active parcels. The Board of Assessment review normally works 1 7-hour day on a reassessment year. This year, the BAR worked 6 days for a total of 45 hours. They had 138 parcels to review between in-person meetings and mail-in requests. No change in value occurred on 9 of those parcels. There were 5 days of informal meetings where I spoke to property owners regarding their new assessments. This totaled 114 parcels. Between May 15th and May 25th, the assessment office received approximately 296 voice messages, and I'm proud to say that all had a return phone call. Julie and I worked a total of 238.75 hours over our normal hours during the reassessment process. I would like to stress the process of valuing real property in New York State is clearly outlined in New York State real property law. Although some would disagree with the process, it is the process that I am bound to follow by law. If you have questions regarding the process, I would hope that you ask those that know how the process works and need not rely on information from those that disagree with the process. It causes much confusion. Thank you.
Thanks, Tricia. Dan? Planning and zoning. Sorry, code enforcement.
Code enforcement report for June 2023. I had a slow month with building permits. I only issued 2, one for a deck, one for a pole barn storage. With the free time, I closed out a number of open building permits with a final inspection, a good number of them, one dating back to 2017, which was a single family dwelling. I was able to close it out with a certificate of occupancy. So the ones that were open, I've been able to take care of a lot of that and close them out. Sent out 3 violation letters in June for uncut grass. 1 violation was corrected. Earlier tonight, I met with Fire Chief Dave Moden of the Shelby Fire Department. We went up to 10234 Johnson Road, the Winters property. Looked at it. He has spoken with the DEC. They gave him the green light to be able to burn the structure, but the shingles are going to have to be stripped. So I've been talking to Dale, and we'll see what we can do. And there's a neighbor that might be able to lend a hand. So we'll see how we can accomplish that, getting the shingles stripped, and have the fire department take care of that structure. Finally, some FYI for your information. Most signs require a sign permit that's issued by the planning board. However, there are some signs that require no permit, and election signs are those type of signs. They're known in the zoning regulations as free speech signs. They're permitted. However, there are regulations regarding those signs, and I'm often asked, how long before an election can I place my sign? There's no regulation in that regard. But what I say, I tell the candidates, prospective candidates, I say, I'm gonna give you my advice, 6 weeks, maybe 8, you know? And that's just from the code enforcement perspective. However, the zoning regulations state that signs must be removed within 7 days following the election. And I'm happy to say that all signs were removed within a few days after the election. So with that, I would say thank you to all the candidates, to Dale Root, Bill Walters, Justin Gray, Jeff Schiffer, Linda Lehman for their quick sign removal. Appreciate it very much, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Dan. Can you, let me know when they're gonna burn? Whenever
I
the
have to do
schedule is?
that, oh, yes.
Oh, thanks. All right, resolution. Resolution to approve the June 13th, 2023 town board meetings.
Remove.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's approved. Resolution to approve the clerk report for June.
Make
So
a
moved.
motion to accept. I'll second it then.
Any discussion? No. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None. It's approved. Resolution to approve the supervisor's report for June.
So move.
I second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, approved. Resolution to approve to pay claims against the town.
So moved. I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Nope, approved. Other resolutions. I screwed up last month. We didn't vote on this one, so it's a redo. Resolution to pay the members of the Board of Assessment Review $20 an hour beyond their normal hours worked. The extra hours Tricia talked about.
I'll abstain from this.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Approved. Resolution for a seeker for the new truck.
Resolution determining that proposed action is type 2 action for purposes of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Whereas the town board of the town of Shelby, Orleans County, New York, the town is considering undertaking the purchase of machinery and apparatus to be used for constructing, reconstructing, repairing, maintaining, or removing the snow and ice from any physical public betterment or improvement, the cost of which is $30,000 or over, including one truck and related apparatus to be attached thereto. Whereas pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, the Seeker Act, and the regulations adopted pursuant thereto by the Department of Environmental Conservation of the State of New York, being 6 NYCRR Part 617 as amended, the regulations, the town desires to comply with the Seeker Act and the regulations with respect to the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Shelby, Orleans County, New York as follows. 1, the project constitutes a type 2 action under 6 NYCRR section 617.5 subsection C subsection 31, and no further action under the Seeker Act and the regulations is required. And number 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Resolution passed. Resolution for issuance of a serial bond.
Bond resolution of the Town of Shelby, Orleans County, New York, authorizing the issuance of $291,000 in serial bonds to finance the purchase of machinery and apparatus for construction and maintenance. Be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Shelby, Orleans County, New York, the town as follows. Section 1. The Town of Shelby, Orleans County, New York, the town is hereby authorized to purchase machinery and apparatus to be used for constructing, reconstructing, repairing, maintaining, or removing the snow and ice from any physical public betterment or improvement, the cost of which is $30,000 or over, including one truck and related apparatus to be attached thereto at an aggregate estimated maximum cost not to exceed $291,000. Section 2, it is hereby determined that the aggregate maximum estimated cost of the aforesaid specific object or purposes to be financed by the town is $291,000, and the plan for the financing the cost thereof shall consist of the issuance of $291,000 in serial bonds, which are hereby authorized to be issued pursuant to this resolution and the provisions of the local finance law. Provided, however, that to the extent that any federal or state grants and aid are received for such class of specific objects or purposes, the amount of the bonds to be issued pursuant to this resolution shall be reduced dollar for dollar. Section 3, it is hereby determined that the period of probable usefulness of the aforesaid class of specific object or purposes is 15 years pursuant to subdivision 28 of paragraph A of Section 11 of the Local Finance Law. Section 4, pursuant to Section 107, subsection D, subsection 9 of the Local Finance Law, current funds are not required to be provided prior to issuance of the bonds or any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of issuance of the bonds. Section 5, the temporary use of available funds of the town not immediately required for the purpose or purposes for which the same were borrowed, raised, or otherwise created is hereby authorized pursuant to Section 165.10 of the Local Finance Law for the capital purposes described in Section 1 of this resolution. Section 6. The bonds and any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the bonds shall contain the recital of validity prescribed by Section 52 of the Local Finance Law, and the bonds and any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the bonds shall be general obligations of the town, payable as to both principal and interest by a general tax upon all the real property within the town without legal or constitutional limitation as to rate or amount. The faith and credit of the town are hereby irrevocably pledged to the punctual payment of the principal of and interest on the bonds and any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the bonds, and provision shall be made annually in the budget of the town by appropriation for the amortization and redemption of the bonds and bond anticipation notes to mature in such year, and the payment of interest to be due and payable in such year. Section 7, subject to the provisions of this resolution and of the Local Finance Law, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 21, 30, 50, and 56 to 63, inclusive of the Local Finance Law, the power to authorize the issuance of and to sell bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance and sale of the bonds herein authorized, including renewals of such notes, and the power to prescribe the terms, form, and contents of the bonds and any bond anticipation notes, and the power to sell and deliver the bonds and any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the issuance of the bonds, and the power to sell and deliver bonds providing for substantially level or declining annual debt service is hereby delegated to the town supervisor, the fiscal or the chief fiscal officer of the town. Section 8, the reasonably expected source of funds to be used to initially pay for the expenditures authorized by Section 1 of this resolution shall be from the town's general fund. It is intended that the town shall then reimburse such expenditures with the proceeds of the bonds and bond anticipation notes authorized by this resolution, and that the interest payable on the bonds and any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the bonds shall be excludable from gross income for federal income tax purposes. This resolution is intended to constitute the declaration of the town's official intent to reimburse the expenditures authorized by this bond resolution with the proceeds of the bonds and bond anticipation notes authorized herein as required by Treasury Regulation Section 1.150-2. Section 9. The serial bonds and bond anticipation notes authorized to be issued by this resolution are hereby authorized to be consolidated at the option of the town supervisor, the chief fiscal officer of the town, with the serial bonds and bond anticipation notes authorized by other bond resolutions adopted by the town board for purposes of sale in one or more bond or note issues aggregating an amount not to exceed the amount authorized in such resolution. All matters relating to the sale of the bonds, including the date of the bonds, the consolidation of the bonds and bond anticipation notes with other issues of the town, and the serial maturity of the bonds are hereby delegated to the town supervisor, the chief fiscal officer of the town. Section 10. The validity of the bonds authorized by this resolution and of any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the bonds may be contested only if A, such obligations are authorized for an object or purpose for which the town is not authorized to expend money, or B, the provisions of law which should be complied with at the date of the publication of this resolution are not substantially complied with, and an action, suit, or proceeding contesting such validity is commenced within 20 days after the date of such publication, or C, such obligations are authorized in violation of the provisions of the Constitution of New York. Section 11. This resolution or a summary hereof shall be published in the official newspaper of the town, together with a notice of the town clerk in substantially the form provided in Section 81 of the local finance law. Section 12. The town supervisor as chief fiscal officer of the town is hereby authorized to enter into an undertaking for the benefit of the holders of the bonds from time to time, and any bond anticipation notes issued in anticipation of the sale of the bonds, requiring the town to provide secondary market disclosure as required by Securities and Exchange Commission Rule 15C2-12. Section 13. The town supervisor as chief fiscal officer of the town is further authorized to sell all or a portion of the bonds to the United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development in the form prescribed in one or more financing, grant, or similar agreements between the town and rural development, to execute and deliver on behalf of the town one or more financing agreements with rural development, and to execute such other documents and take such other actions as are necessary or appropriate to obtain financing from rural development for all or a portion of the costs of the expenditures authorized by this bond resolution, and perform the town's obligations under its bonds delivered to rural development and the financing agreements. Section 14, the town hereby determines that the provisions of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and the regulations thereunder have previously been satisfied with respect to the expenditures authorized by this resolution. Section 15, this resolution is subject to permissive referendum pursuant to Article 7 of the Town Law of the State of New York and Section 35 of the Local Finance Law. The town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to, within 10 days of the adoption of this resolution by the town board, post and publish a notice in the manner and form prescribed in Article 7 of the Town Law. This resolution shall take effect 30 days after its adoption, or if a petition is filed pursuant to Article 7 of the Town Law, upon the affirmative vote of a majority of the qualified electors of the town voting on the referendum. It's okay. If I said issue.
Can I get a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept.
looking a second.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just a little bit of discussion here. It always pains me to take and spend the town's money, but it's the money from the taxpayers, and some of our trucks are a little on the tired side, and we need to keep up with keeping the new blood in the fleet, so to speak. And the board was asked for permission to buy 2 trucks. And after some discussion, we decided, well, we haven't voted yet, but after some discussion, we decided we'd see what one does to the fleet, one new one does to the fleet, and go from there. Thank you.
Ed? Jeff? We need to do a roll call vote. Mr. Schiffer?
Aye.
Mr. Pratt?
Aye.
Mr. Zelaney?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Resolution passes. All right, open up to board comments. Mr. Schiffer, got anything? Mr. Pratt?
Yes, I got a question here for the highway super. I'm under the impression that somewheres I read that there was 18 miles of road done. In my mind, the road's done when it's the shoulders are put on. How many of these 18 miles have got shoulders put on them?
That number of 18 miles was from the first 3 years. We have a paper from the state that calculates the miles that we get paid on for chips. When we finished the road, I added them up and it came up to 18 miles. They all got shoulders on them. I understand that you have one by your house that has a spot or 2. When we do the other part of Martin Road, we can address it then. Any other?
There's, I don't know, seems like there's a lot of spots on a lot of the roads that are done that need shoulders, but you're the super.
In 3 years, this is the first complaint.
Anything else, John?
No, that's it.
Ed?
No.
Oh, sorry. I'd like to apologize to the assessment review people. I screwed up at the last meeting, so I corrected it this meeting. And with that, I'll open it up to public comments on agenda items. Yeah, I'm up. State your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Jim Conway. I live on Bigford Road in Shelby. And I have a question for the town board. I'm wondering if it's possible for the town board to consider allowing four-wheelers to ride up and down the town roads in Shelby. I don't have all the specifics as to what roads are town roads, what roads are county roads, what you'd have responsibility for. But the problem is there's a lot of four-wheelers, everybody knows, you see them all the time going up and down the road. And it's very hard to control them. The police can't be out there chasing them around all day. But if there was some type of rules and regulations regarding them going up and down the roads, I think it'd be safer for the four-wheelers themselves, the town people, everybody involved in it. I don't know what the procedure is or how you go about looking into the whole thing, but I just opened it up for discussion if it's even possible to do it. I know there is towns in New York State that allow ATVs to ride up in their areas, and they have regulations. They have speed limits. They have, limits about insurance and things like that. And the age of whoever would drive it, have to have a driver's license, things like that. So there's a whole lot of, what do you do is involved in that. But just to throw it out there, if it's worth it, discussions, I'll open it up to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's some research we're gonna have to do on that. I know state has certain rules, but I'm not sure what the town, unless there's a sheriff's deputy or a trooper sitting there and he's in a bad mood, I don't think he's gonna bother anyone, but, I mean, they go past my house every day, so.
One of the reasons that it came up is in Niagara County, they had some problems. I don't know if anybody realized that. So what they went and did was they shut it all down. And they got, they're talking first offense, $250 fine, points on your license, all this kind of stuff. So I would hate for that to, navigate over into this county. And the whole thing really should be looked at for the safety of, like I said, for the kids, not kids, but anybody riding it and people who are driving down the road along with it.
All right, yeah, I'll look it up. It's gonna take a little bit. I'm gonna have to check with the county and see what we can do, but I'll get back to you. Thanks for the question. Anyone else? Linda? Okay, Larry?
Lawrence Waters Sr. Got just a couple of things here that I've been thinking about. We live right on Main Street in Shelby Center, and there's a street light in the middle of Main Street. It's not on the corner. It's not on the next road down. It's just kind of like right by the creek. I don't see what the function of that light being there is other than to shine in our bedroom all night. What's the process for determining why it's there, who's in charge of it, and how we can get it either just the bulb taken out or shut off?
We've got a program that we just got approved for. They're gonna put all LED lights on all the street lights in the whole town. So I'd have to contact, get the pole numbers, probably a number on the pole.
Yep.
Get the pole number, and if you want to eliminate it or you want a dimmer,
Just want it gone.
you want it gone, well, you give me the pole number on it, and I can contact the lady from National Grid.
Okay. That would be good. The other thing that I struggle with back and forth to work every day, and this is more in Dale's department, the section of 63 south from Fletcher Chapel to Oak Orchard Ridge, that is controlled by the DOT. As we're all aware, they stopped the paving just over the hill, and they've started up again with their 2-foot wide grind and relay, just enough that it pulls your vehicle all over the place. Have you spoken with them in regards to what the plans might be for that section of road up through the swamps? Are they waiting for the stamp project to come through? What's going on with that? I can't talk to you about the light. Yep.
We've been in touch with the DOT back when they paved it last year, and the problem that emits from that is from the power line is federal land. And the federal government was going to change culverts in that road. And New York State did not want to pave the road and then have them cut it up when they finally got around to putting the culverts in. But that stretch of road is controlled by the feds, just like we maintain some roads, but we have no control of them. The state maintains the road, but the federal government, it's in the wildlife refuge, wanted to put new culverts in, and they haven't done it yet.
Do you plow up to the turnaround?
Yes, we do plow up to the turnaround.
I had the pleasure of dealing with the appraisal board. It was my first run-in with that. I will say it turned out favorably, but just like anything else, it's kind of, giving yourself your own spanking because, well, now that the value of the home has gone up. Just in anticipation, overall, these went into effect July 1st, is that correct? And the tax bill this fall, is that based on this new value or? Now, the town budget, is that a fiscal year, or is that a January to December? Is that when do we start discussing 2024 as far as town budget?
So generally, the discussion of the town budget occurs during the fall. It gets adopted November at the latest. And then that's the budget that you would pay your tax on for January 1st through December 31st.
So is it fair to assume that with the inflated home values that the per thousand will decrease? Is that a fair?
It is entirely possible. I think I said at a previous meeting, given the increase in total assessed value for the town, total taxable assessed value for the town, that all other things being equal, and I don't know what this town plans in terms of its budget, but if the budget is, close to what it was last year, then yes, the tax rate per thousand could decrease.
I think it would have to, wouldn't it?
If the budget stays the same, but there's no guarantee that the budget is going to stay the same. I can't predict what the budget is going to be for next year.
Well, let's just say you have 25% more tax levy to lean on, to work with. You can't over budget, spend it or lose it. I mean, am I saying this correctly? I mean, you're going to gather, as soon as this fall, I'm already paying more based on this new value on that set school tax rate. And then once the town reviews their budget, which I would hope would be starting soon, I hope this isn't a 3-day process.
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
So if the taxable value goes up and the levy stays the same, the amount to be raised by taxes, the rate will go down. That's the math.
It has to, correct.
Yes,
All right.
right.
All right. And the other thing I had on here is in the last meeting, maybe it was the one before that, Eddie had expressed concern about the comptroller's report and all the findings over the past 5 years of discrepancies and in that whole audit process, and you had brought in that lawyer or whatever, I forget what his name is, and we had a little bit of a discussion here. I wanted to talk on comment of the supervisor made that we have an outside firm looking into that. Was it your intent to say that you've hired a firm to review that comptroller's report?
we have an accounting firm that works with the bookkeeper to verify records each month. That was previously done. We weren't currently doing it. It was previously done. Linda knows about it. The whole board was briefed by the outside accounting firm. There was no money missing when it went from paper to electronic. I don't know if it got categorized wrong or what. I wasn't part of the board then. But the whole board got briefed. No money was missing. Everything was in order.
My concern is it sounds like we've secured an outside firm and we also have a bookkeeper. Is that correct?
The municipality always has an independent third-party accounting firm do an audit.
How frequently?
Yearly.
So have we moved on from that? Are we satisfied with all the bullet points that were brought up by the controller? And
Wait,
He was reducing the number of general ledger accounts from 12 to 7 and that whole accounting of that. Yeah, that was,
I don't know what year it was, but it was everything was settled and everything was accounted for.
okay.
I'll find out for you though. I'll get you the information.
All right, and then the last thing I had on my list, and ironically, John, I mentioned it earlier, Main Street is on an incline, and the first couple of heavy rains we get, it just totally takes the shoulder and washes it down into the creek. Is that one of the roads scheduled to have shoulders redone? Not at this point. How do you get it on the list, I guess? I mean, there's a drop off about like that from, you know. There's that much on the state road. You've done it in the past. I'm not saying it's never been addressed. Well, no, it's just, it isn't, either it needs to be packed firmer or we need to use crush and run or something that's not just gonna get floated away, you know, with the first heavy rain. So, Main Street, added to the list. That's all I have.
Thanks, Larry. Linda, yeah.
Linda Lemina. So I just have a question about the new truck. You said you're going out for a bond. Was there, you at one point had mentioned grants. Was there, did you apply for a grant? Did you get approved or not approved? Where are you with any other possible funding sources other than?
We did,
taxpayers?
Dale applied for a grant from, Claudia Tenney, and we were not given the grant.
Okay, so there's no other outside funding for it. Okay, that's all I wanted.
That
Thanks.
is our only option now.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
I'm Charlene Pratt, and just wondering how the water situation is going. I know that they were looking into getting a grant for the new water lines to be put in, and I'm just curious on how that's coming. Or are we getting even to where I can think that we're going to have water? I mean, I'm getting kind of disappointed. Everyone else is trying to do their own route now, and I feel like I'm being discriminated against. Everyone around us is doing what they have to do, and
Well, I was just briefing the board. The board approved going with the prior engineering firm we had. They're seeking grants through rural development and through New York State to work on 13. We gave them to go ahead to start putting a project together, find out what they can, what we have to do. So you're just waiting to hear from the engineering firm on that. As soon as we know, you guys will know.
I know it can't come soon enough. So it's getting old. It's been very old. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Anyone else? No? Alrighty then. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Second.
All in favor for adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you all.